Well, it's great meeting you as well. So, did you want to just jump right into it, or do you have any questions ahead of time?
No, it seems pretty straightforward. I love free-flowing conversations. So,
All right, let's do it then.
okay.
So, thanks for coming on the show. This is great. Good to meet you. Tell me a little bit about yourself, your organization, and what you're passionate about.
Well, I'm the Chief Innovation Officer for Infinilytics. We're a startup based in the Silicon Valley in the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
I've been with the company for going on 5 years, started with them in 2014. And I'm in my second life, as I like to say. This is my second career. My previous career was 32 years in law enforcement here in California.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and so when I retired, I was involved in technology projects, throughout the years, and then also in legislative and regulatory issues as well. And when I went through a program called Command College, it's a future studies program put on by the California Peace Officer Standish Training Commission. It's like a 19-month program.
Wow.
This is where I learned all about futures. And I did my thesis on what a law enforcement agency would look like in a total virtual office environment, and how it would interact with the community and vice versa, and what are the benefits, and then of course what are the downsides to it. I had a lot of fun doing that. Learned a lot about technology because they challenged you. Do something, go and do something you're not familiar with, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to make this easy. So I really enjoyed doing that. And when I retired, people were asking, okay, what are you going to do? There's the traditional second careers law enforcement goes into. And I said, no, I'm going in the opposite direction. I love technology, and
Mm-hmm.
I want to belong somewhere that creates something, that benefits everybody, a company, the consumer, society as a whole,
Nice.
with all this other things. And here I am. That's what we've done.
Very
So,
cool.
yeah, so Infinilytics, we're an artificial intelligence software provider for the insurance industry, and we have created the first insurance insights engine ever. And we're gaining a lot of traction. We're very busy. There's like 3 years in the development stage of growing and learning and whatnot. So it's some exciting times around here.
Nice. So this is a startup. You've only been around for 3 years. Is that right?
We introduced our platform, Charlee, its first iteration 3 years ago. And
Mm-hmm.
Charlee has grown much more than that. But yeah, I mean, the first couple of years we were in an R&D mode.
Right. So are you totally self-funded, or did you get some
We are,
startup funding?
right now we are totally self-funded.
Wow.
Angel investors, the co-founders. This is bootstrapped together, and we're talking with investors now. It seems like we gained a lot of interest, especially from the insurance industry, their capital venture arms and whatnot, because we're onto something here.
So how do you apply AI to insurance? I mean, I'm curious. So, like, from a high level.
Okay, from a high level. Okay, so insurance is a business, right? And
Mm-hmm.
insurance, the business of insurance is heavily regulated, right, by the government. There's timelines, there's deadlines, there's laws in effect that, one of them, the Fair Claims Practice Act, which insurance companies must fairly honor the contract of insurance when a claim is made, and you have X amount of days to do certain things. I mean, the clock is ticking when that
Mm-hmm.
claim comes in. So what AI can do is help automate a lot of the data gathering, a lot of the manual processes. And let me give you an example. The Insurance Information Institute, III is what it's referred to. They did a study, and they came out, this was an amazing statistic. The claims examiners and underwriting analysts spend 70% of their time looking for data. And that
Mm-hmm.
data is right in front of them, but it is so disparate in different places, it takes time. So they waste 70% of the time just trying to find it, and then start to be able to make a decision. So AI comes in and says, oh, wait a minute, we can cut this time clock down drastically, and pulling in the data and the insights that the data reveals, so you can make better informed decisions and more timely decisions, be compliant, be cost effective. In insurance, it's all about the book of business, how big your portfolio is, grow that, and keep the consumers happy so you can retain them and then upsell. I mean, that's what it's all about. And so we have focused on the unstructured text part of claims and underwriting. So like for, God, going on, I had 26 years plus experience investigating white collar crime, specifically insurance fraud and all the other ancillary crimes that go with that. And when you look at a claim file, an insurance claim file, it can be like this thick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hundreds and hundreds of pages of documents. Sometimes they're file boxes with all kinds of documents in it. And so those documents contain the unstructured text, and it is a gold mine of information. So what, used to take, people would come into my office, the insurance industry, and they want to refer a matter saying, you guys need to look at these people. They've got this massive fraud scheme going on. It would take me about a month to go through 3 file boxes, read it, digest it, outline it, figure out what's going on, and then start the investigation. Where now the AI can do this for you in seconds.
Wow, that makes total sense. I can understand, but so much of this is still paper. So do you have to digitize all the documentation, right?
Well, thank God the insurance industry is going digital. It's all about digital. They're all about that. But there are some paper things that still go on. But it doesn't matter if it's, you got a stack of papers on your desk. This is how you got to read, or it's 3 gigabytes of documents on a file that you got to read. You still got to read it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you got to, transform that and do what you have to do, with your job with that. So, but what's really cool this is what I'm really, really passionate about. One of the things I'm passionate about, a lot of things, but this is one of the things about it in the world of insurance is being able to see the hidden patterns. Let's talk about fraud, for instance. The organized crime groups, the transnational global organized crime groups flourish in committing insurance fraud. A lot of it goes undetected. It is billions of dollars globally. And this is a huge amount of capital that they inject into their business for their other nefarious activities. Mm-hmm. So if you can stop those dollars, flowing into there by acting quickly and efficiently, legally, and it's going to hold up under legal muster, this is a cool thing. But now the other side, that's just fraud. Now let's talk about underwriting. When you talk about, is the insurance company pricing their products correctly? Mm-hmm. Let me give you, for instance, our very first customer was a life insurance carrier here. It's a global life insurance carrier. We only worked in the United States space, and they needed help automating their death certificates. Believe it or not, there are 3,800 plus different death certificates in the United States.
Seriously? Is it like a per county thing? Is that what it
is? It is. It's per county and per parish. Now it has all the basic information, right? So, there's when you look at it, the who, what, when, why, where, and how, and you look at the cause of death, and then below it, there's the 3 supporting causes. Like, let me give you, for instance, someone passes away from a myocardial infarction, heart attack. And then below that will be listed the 3 reasons why the heart stopped beating. So if you started doing analysis on that, trend analysis, and then look at it on a geospatial thing, and you kind of like think of, okay, the life expectancy in the very deep south of the United States compared to, say, Seattle. Mm-hmm. A little bit different lifestyles, a little bit different eating styles, maybe, other types of other styles. And it's like, if you're offering a product that's doing well in Seattle, but it's not doing well in the southern United States, for any number of reasons, like, hello, are you paying attention? Yeah. AI can help bring this out. So we did that for them.
You could probably also see patterns, similar patterns in different areas, and say, just like say, okay, in this county, this specific county is similar to this specific county. You're selling in this county, but you're not selling in this county. So you can find all sorts of new places to sell that product.
Exactly. And then, as a switch gears real quick to claims. Like, okay, in the claims process, you have, let's say 2 cars come together in an intersection, and one of the drivers is DUI. Okay, so what are all the attributes? What are all the features? What's all the little things going on in that corner of the world regarding DUI crashes to, say, the central Los Angeles basin?
Mm.
You know, what are the differences? I mean, what are the similarities? What's unique? You know, I mean, slicing and dicing it and coming that way. And thank God we are meeting people and interacting with these folks in the insurance industry where they're starting to think like this. And this is where AI is really coming in. People are excited about it. So.
Right. Well, one of the things that a lot of people are concerned about when it comes to AI is bias, though, right? I mean, you heard about the story with
Oh
at
yeah,
Amazon where they pulled out the
yeah.
AI recruiting because, it was just giving us more, white engineers. So,
Yep.
I mean, how do you work the bias out of your system?
Well, okay, so we have said from the beginning, my co-founders and I, we've given a lot of talks in the Silicon Valley Insurance Accelerator Group, about AI, and we've talked about bias, and bias is very real. So like if you take AI and deploy it onto a system, and that system has biased data, of course the AI is also going to be biased because it's just mimicking how you're teaching it.
Yep.
So right. So what we do is when we built Charlee, Charlie's the name of our AI platform, Charlee. We were we took a lot of things into consideration, and one of them, what we did is we took a multidisciplinary approach, where we had a data scientist, a technical architect, and two deep insurance domain experts come together and sit down at a table and design the system. And as it's being built, we were always thinking and guarding against bias, the biased data. So like Charlee does three things. It does pattern recognition. It does quality control alerts, what we call QC alerts. And what it does is, what those alerts are is insurance industry best practices. It's kind of like a checklist to help remind the claims examiner, do this, do this, do this, did you do this? And if you did this, follow up on this. It's just a suggestive tool, engine right there. And then we predict if the claim is going to go into litigation. And we do that through the semantic search, how people are communicating. And right now we are predicting with 82% accuracy 4 weeks before an attorney even gets involved if the claim's going to go into litigation.
Wow, that is fantastic.
Right. And so and that's a huge cost savings, because just alone in the property casualty space, P&C companies spend $80 billion a year in legal costs.
That's not nothing to sneeze at. That's for sure.
No, so when I tell a couple of my lawyer friends what we're doing, is like they just like stare at me like, oh wow, okay, let's look into the future here. You're gonna put me out of business, but but no, this is like what I think AI can do, and we're very conscious about the bias. We tune it, we take it out. I'm often referred to by my co-founder, the CEO, Charlee, is I'm the big brother, because I come from the government space, and it's like over the years, no, you can't do that. It's not.
Well, somebody's got to be the no, you can't do that guy.
Right. And so like, we've been in front of the National Association of Insurance Commissioners, NAIC, and we've given a presentation about what we've done, and they love it. Because they don't have a problem with it. But what NAIC, on the policy side, this is where people pay close attention to the AI. Where is the AI biased and being biased against the consumer,
right?
For insurance products.
So I'm assuming that there is transparency there, right? You can go back and find out why the AI made the decision that it did.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
All of that is totally open.
Yeah, absolutely. When people that use Charlee, Charlee will point out, like for instance, let's look at like pattern recognitions. If Charlee points out that it's a suspected stage collision, it will pull out and list where in the claim notes, what people are saying or what document was analyzed that has the indicators of a stage collision scheme.
Interesting.
Yeah. One of the things I was another passionate about is teaching the insurance industry. I've given hundreds and hundreds of talks and instructional symposiums to insurance companies about identifying fraud, and it's a good thing. But the problem in the insurance industry, one of the Achilles heel, is the claims examiner is the weakest link. You're constantly teaching, the insurance companies that can retain senior, accomplished people and they can handle complex claims and they know their stuff, that is gold. But you got people cycling in and out, and the training process starts over. Meanwhile, the conveyor belt with the claims still keeps moving.
Oh yeah,
right?
it never stops.
No one pauses. Like, we'll let you get caught up here.
Yeah, let's put it on. Let's put the claims on hold for a minute while we train everybody up. Right?
It doesn't work like that.
So you're only working in that space right now. So like the underwriting and the claim space. And what was the other? You said there was another space that you were in.
Well, I mean, the litigation part of it,
right?
As well, for claims. I mean, those are the three areas.
Are you looking at sort of expanding into more predictive and proactive areas too? So you can look at additional data and go, well, what are the propensity for people? Like, can you actually get to the point where you're actually writing insurance?
We get asked that a lot because of all the insight.
If you've got AI, then you probably, and if you've got access to the big data.
So Charlee was trained on over 30 million claims, and we're up to 40 million claims now, and we have 40,000 plus insights. And so we've been approached like, okay, wow, why don't you guys start an insurance company?
Yeah.
That's an idea.
That makes sense.
We'll just put that card on the table over here on the edge because we want to focus on what we're doing right now. Because I would tell you, that's one of the things I learned about being in a startup. And you get a group of people together that are creative and innovative, and they want to do things. And the problem is one of the mistakes we made when we started is we were too broad. We were way too broad.
Yeah.
So we had to reel it back in, focus on one industry, the property and casualty, and this is what we're done. And now it's huge progress. But yeah, we've got some cards on the table thinking about it. I mean, I'd like to expand out into other sectors. Take this to it. I mean, I would like to go back to my home, law enforcement, once this is really, really refined and growing, and start applying some stuff there. Because like in law enforcement, going back, 11 years ago, predictive policing was this huge buzzword. AI is going to change.
Yeah, whatever happened to that?
Well, here we are. The problem, one of the problems is, it's like, so here comes a technology company, with some very, very smart people, and they go, we have a widget that can predict when crime's going to happen. And it's like, cool, show us what you got. I can take a seasoned beat cop that has spent a huge amount of time on the street, and they will tell you where the crooks are in town, schemes that they're up to, when it goes down, where they're active, and that's where it goes. So predictive policing, I think what you want to do is you want to mimic the mind of a seasoned, accomplished officer. Instead of looking at, PowerPoint slides of basic statistics of like a burglary was here, we got a DUI arrest here was a robbery. Yeah, okay, all right, fine. Yeah. Tell something I don't know. I mean,
yeah. Well, it's more intuitive. It's more intuitive than just looking at the data.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's that, and then another area that fascinates us is the telematics. Of the telematics of vehicles. The IoT is amazing. The information, the Internet of Things, especially like in the world of insurance, where you look at a connected home. I think I read somewhere, I think like the average number of connected devices in a home now is like 19.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm sure mine's in the 30s or something like that.
Yeah,
right now.
I'm sure it's grown by more than that. I mean, everything. I mean, even now the refrigerators talk to you. You need milk. I mean, it's it's that kind of amazing thing.
It's actually interesting you should mention that, because I always think of insurance as being really messy, because it kind of deals with reality, with the real world. And the thing is, we don't have all those IoT devices out there right now. If we had like a network mesh of IoT devices that are tracking all this stuff, and we could get like real data on all this stuff. How do you just get observational data and you put it in there? I mean, you just work on that, right? I mean, I guess
right. It's the data of the device reporting back, right? And so you have the data. Now, what are you going to do with it, or what can you do with it? I will tell you the one thing we're exploring, and we've launched already with one carrier is cyber insurance. Because that is, I mean, as we grow, as this technology grows and the world becomes more connected, the cyber insurance for your personal information and then all your corporate secrets and financial stuff like that, I mean, it's going to get expensive when these breaches occur. And, now if you look, I mean, it's like government is finally, stood up and said, enough is enough.
Yeah.
You have these laws coming in, and oh, by the way, I think, what is it? California, the California Consumer Protection Act that was passed. Full disclosure here, I haven't read it for over a year, but the first reading of it I saw is someone's entitled to $750 per breach.
Whoa.
That's
a lot of money.
Hello. I mean, you talk about, something that could make a company go insolvent.
Yeah.
Real quick. So this is kind of like serious, part of that. So that's the other part is, having AI help out, make the system secure and stopping things. I mean, that's real. And so
I love that. I love that. So I'd like to go back a little bit to your startup journey, right? I mean, you said you had a full career in law enforcement and then suddenly you decided to do this. I mean, how did you what made you do this? Like what triggered you into doing this?
Well, so let me go back. When I graduated from the command college program, I sent my thesis over to the insurance commissioner at the time. He loved it and said, well, what can we do different? And I said, well, coming off the heels of 9/11, let's build a fusion center that incorporates law enforcement and financial data to try and track and root out these groups, right? Wonderful idea, build it. So I had a lot of fun designing that. I sat through 37 presentations of technology companies I'd never even heard of before.
You counted?
Yeah, I was a captive audience. And, I was enjoying it because I was learning a lot. Like, wow, I didn't have any idea that people were doing this or, your system could do that. So when I retired, I started my own consulting company, helping the insurance industry in legal cases. I testify as an expert for insurance fraud, bad faith, and the Special Investigation Unit regulations. And I was only doing 1 or 2 a year, which, thank God. Because if insurance companies were being sued every week, that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Because something's inherently wrong. And I was doing that, and then one of the companies that came in on that Fusion Center project, the bid, was SAS.
Oh yeah.
Right. And there's some phenomenal people at SAS. And so
great company.
They asked, I said, I got the traditional question, what are you going to do when you grow up? So I said, so they said, what about, how'd you like to come and be an alliance partner and an ambassador in the state and local government and the financial crimes? And I did that for 3 years.
Nice.
It was fascinating. I had a great time, met some incredibly smart people, working on projects. And then I got approached by our CEO and founder, Charlee. She was following me on LinkedIn because I was writing blogs and essays. And he's like, I got a phone call out of the blue.
Nice.
Hey, what did you think about, coming to a startup? And what's a startup? What are you talking about? Tell me some more. So, I said, okay, well, I have a contract with SAS. I'm a very honorable guy. I'm going to honor my contract. Call me at the end of the year. Literally to the day at 8 a.m., the phone rings.
I love it.
And, we had a conversation and signed an NDA, and she showed me, what the vision is or whatever. And I said, this is cool. I would love to be, part of that. And, and in the first 2 years, it was an R&D. We were experimenting, we were changing things. We had an idea, and it's the classic thing. You have an idea and you run to the service sector you want to provide this to, and they'll go, that's really interesting, but no, it's more work. This is why.
Well, usually they say that's really interesting, and we'll buy it when you've built it, it.
Yeah, but it's funny, when we started this and when we started going to like SVIA, the very first one I went to, there was over 300 people in the room, and it's all startups, right? all insurtech startups. And I was kind of like blown away, like, wow, there's a lot of interest in this. And it's everybody's AI there in the Silicon Valley. And, and so the very first one we went to, there was people from the insurance industry that were the keynote speakers, and they're doing their thing and telling the world their views, what innovation means to them, what you need to do. And I was looking around, and some of the presentations that were made by the startups, and this is no, I don't mean to make anybody feel bad or whatever, but it was like I whispered in my my partner's ear. I said, most of these people aren't going to be around because it is nowhere near compliant with the law or regulations.
Right.
Right. And so that's
what we like to do in Silicon Valley, right? We like to disrupt things.
Well, and that's cool. That's really cool. But I think, one of the things is, one of the important things is for a startup, I mean, if you got this idea and you want to do it in industry, is like reach out to your domain practitioner and bring them on board.
Yeah.
Because they can tell you a lot. And, before you spend a ungodly amount of money into something and you run to the company and go,
oh yeah, I mean, exactly.
No, it's not going to work.
But it's the passion of the founders. They're like, oh yeah, this is a great idea. I've got to push it through and I'm going to get it done. And they don't look at, the pushback, especially in the regulatory sense. I mean, in insurtech, definitely, fintech, definitely. But, they really that really needs to happen first, right? Somewhere along the way.
I mean, you can't, I am a firm believer and advocate in innovation and creativity. And I listened to a Neil deGrasse Tyson podcast once, and he was being interviewed by HBR. And he said something, and this was way back. This is 2010, I think. And he said, he gave this example of innovation, like if you have an innovation lab, if you run into that lab and drop a project on your innovation team and say, we need this problem solved, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
It's dead. It's dead on arrival. So the whole thing about innovation is letting people pursue their passions, right? Absolutely.
It's funny you should say that. It's funny you should say that, because I have other people I've talked to who say, unless it's something useful that you can actually create, then it's not innovation. So I love hearing there's so many different.
Great people will take opposite sides or agree to disagree. But I think the whole thing about innovation and creativity spawns about somebody's passion or curiosity. Now, whether or not it will work or it's meaningful, or that's a different discussion and a different time. But if you stifle that, you're going to kill innovation and creativity.
Yeah,
I think.
No, you're absolutely right. So here's my question to you then. Would you be able to look at those startups and say, this is how they have to change their model in order to get it to work? Or can some of them, you would just be able to say, no, that's not possible at all?
Well, I'm not the only, person of experience in legislative and regulatory business of insurance. A lot of people could do that. But
right.
I mean, what I have learned now and what I have experienced, if there was a brand new startup in insurtech and I was in an audience listening to their pitch, in the back of my mind, I'm firing on, okay, Fair Claims Practices Act, check. Anti-fraud program regulation, check. Financial reporting, question mark.
Yeah.
Question mark.
So there is a checklist that they can go through.
Yeah.
Which is like, here are the things that you need to be careful.
Yeah, it's like understanding your domain. Right? A lot of people, let me tell you a quick anecdote here. Whenever I had to go to court and somebody was in trial, we're talking about criminal court, and some fraudsters have been arrested and they're sitting there at the defense table, and the people's representative, the district attorney or the assistant United States attorney is putting on the case. One of the first things you have to do is convince the jury, those 12 plus 2 alternates, that the insurance company is a victim. So
that must be hard.
What do people know about insurance? Their monthly payment, or they get in an accident, or something goes wrong with their home, and that's their first interaction with it. And we say, a claim is a moment of truth for an insurance company, right? And if you don't do it right, you're going to lose that customer and many more. as well. So it's like, it's all about having the system firing on all cylinders efficiently with good data. My mantra is right data at the right time to the right person for the right decision. And that's where the power of AI comes in.
So speaking of that, have you ever had a situation where you were surprised by the findings, Charlie's findings? Like he came up with something you never even thought of.
Well, yeah, that's how we grow. I mean, that's the iteration. I mean, Charlie 3 years ago looks nothing like what it is today, because we have our models, we have the machine learning, we have the ontologies, we've built the insight. I mean, we've built the insights, and we take it to a customer, and they use it, and they're starting to be successful. But the customer will say, this is great. I've never noticed this before. And it's like, wait, tell me more. What is it? And why is that important to you? The iteration and the learning part of it, because our world is very, very complex. And in the world, in fintech and insurtech is very, very complex. And it's real people, it's real money, it's real life-changing events for some people. When they make an insurance claim, they lost their home, they've been in a horrific automobile accident or some type of disabling injury. So this is real. So you've got to make the right decisions and having the right data. What I'm passionate about.
Right, but it's just interesting that it would find things that no human being would find, and you've seen that happen. That actually happen.
Yeah, because it's massive amounts of data. Massive amounts of data. I mean, so like, in the world of insurance, a claim comes in and the claims examiner, does three things: validate coverage, that act of policy. Okay, what is our liability on this? Is there any negligence involved? I mean, is our insured negligent, totally at fault, or is the other person totally at fault? So you do those three things, and then you start your process. And people are people. They'll get sidetracked. I think at one time I saw that for one of what we call the tier one companies, the big companies, it's not uncommon to have 75 to 100 open claims that they're processing.
Yikes. That's crazy.
How can you keep track? You can't. You can't keep track of all the intricate details, which could mean the total, if you lose track or lose focus or miss one of these details, it's going to affect the outcome of the claim.
Right. Have you ever had a situation where a human looked at it and they decided one way, and then the AI looked at it and they decided a different way?
Yeah, well, I can tell you that, let me give you two examples. Yes. We did this big proof of concept project for one of the top insurance companies in the world. And when they deployed Charlie as a proof of concept, we pointed out a few of the claims. And just in one claim alone, we saved them $250,000.
Nice.
Right. The other thing we did a pilot. I mean, it was a pilot for an existing customer in the P&C space. And, hurricanes come every year, right? Nothing new. One year you may get 7, one year you may get 25, and they all vary in strength, and all cause all kinds of devastation and havoc. So in these hurricane claims, there's a huge issue with litigation, depending on the state. People, will just automatically litigate. And they wanted to see if Charlie could, this is where we got the idea of sicking Charlie on him to predict if a claim will fall into litigation. And we built it. And it just in the pilot, the company saved $10 million. Wow,
fantastic! That's big bucks right there.
Right? Yeah, and it's all about. It's not, and it's like we will never take the human out of the process, because I'm sorry, you can't take your MacBook and put it on the witness stand in court and have the computer explain why you made that decision. That's not going to work.
You just need some text to speech, or a speech, text to speech.
It's not going to happen.
Dude, you're deposing your MacBook.
Yeah, it's not going to work. So, being able to help them, identify, like, if this claim is starting to track or pending towards litigation, to mitigate it and go around, as I say, avoid it totally. It's a huge cost saving, and there's benefits all around.
Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic. I
Sure.
love it. I love it. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's time to think like a futurist. It's the year 2031, 10 years from now. What's this like? What's Charlee going to be like in 10 years?
Charlee is going to be a standalone system that also encompasses claims management, underwriting portfolio management, the risk analysis, and give the claims examiner a checklist to process the claim.
Wow.
Claims
So
examiner,
it does everything basically.
yeah. So if the claims examiner looks at this checklist and go, yes, 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 I got to look into that a little bit further. Yes, yes, yes. They take that one item, look into it, claim settled.
Nice. Is it going to be at the point where I can actually go and sign up for an insurance policy through Charlee, and then I can look at my social media and decide how much of a risk taker I am?
Well, it's funny you should mention social media. Social. I've got some experience with social media and law enforcement on the intelligence side, and there are different degrees of intelligence. There's like, oh, nice to know, or that sounds more like gossip to me, or so what, or wait a minute, that's actionable intelligence. That's good. I can take an action on that. That's the world of intelligence. So social media is full of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's hearsay, 9 times over is what I say. Social media. I mean, there's some good things on it, but in the world of insurance, the first knuckleheads that were caught that broadcasted on their Facebook account how they scammed an insurance company and they hold up their money, they ended up in jail. Okay, that's the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, that's easy.
People learn. So, but you will see it. I mean, people still do knucklehead things, people on disability, and they're out water skiing and you find them and they put it on their Instagram or Facebook page, but that is such a small number compared to the real fraud that's going in on there. And with the world of social media, how the privacy is locked down, like today Apple came out with their new update on the iOS, and now there's that option. I mean, when it's my understanding, when you install the new system and it's up and running and you tap Facebook, you're going to get the prompt, do you want Facebook to track?
I haven't installed my new update yet. I've got to
check it out.
That.
It's kind of, I installed it, but I haven't had time to play with it. So, I mean, that's kind of where, and the other thing too, that I'm very, very interested in is like the last time the Internet Communications Act on the federal level was updated, Sony was advertising the CD Walkman. Remember that?
It's that old? Oh my God.
1996.
Jeez.
So on the federal level,
ago.
On the federal level, that law hasn't been addressed or tweaked since 1996. And look at where we are now in the world of technology compared to 1996, right? I mean, if you pulled out your iPhone in 96, they would, resurrect the witchcraft laws and what is this device? I mean,
that's right.
So when you think about it, and the other thing that I am very, very hopeful for, and I am nowhere means an expert, I'm an enthusiast, but with the power of computing, and the speed of chips, making cloud technologies more stable, more vast, faster service, faster internet speeds or whatever, we've just started this ride. Who was it? I think someone said that we're still driving a Cadillac with fins. There's more to come.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. So I can see that happening. So do you think like the IoT piece of it is really going to help inform a lot of this new stuff, right? Because we don't have sensors everywhere, but once we have sensors in more places, then you'd be able to gather a lot more data.
Yeah, I mean, especially for the world of insurtech insurance, the IoT is a huge resource of data. If we can secure that data, make people at ease and opt in, to allow the usage of it, I mean, you could save. People will be able to save. I mean, they're doing it now. Insurance companies now have an app. You just download the app on your phone, and you allow them to track you. And if you're doing on average 89 miles an hour, for over an hour, they're going to
Yeah.
know. They're going to go, we want to talk to you about your driving habit.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Or else we're going to charge you more. I mean, you know, so all kinds of different applications for it. And it's just, I think it's still a concept. I think we got to secure the data. We got to get the AI wired properly. We got to take the bias out of it and make it very friendly and easy to use in the claims process.
Yeah, and in the end, you really have to have it as a plus for the consumer, right? Look at it's savings on this. That's why they say, you know, oh, I'll just plug this device into my car and you'll save money, but only if you drive properly, right? So you gotta, if you're not like that, then obviously you're not going to have that. And do you see that might be mandated at some point because, you know, we want to reduce traffic deaths and stuff like that?
I don't know about mandated. Mandated maybe in the future, but we got a long ways to go because you have to solve that argument right now that's argued in the courts. Whose data is it? The driver of the car, or is it the car manufacturer, or is it, you know, the insurance company that's treated like a third party going, no, we insured this mess of a risk that, you know, has got a lot of dollars hanging on. Right. So, you know, I mean, we're still arguing about that. I can see it coming. Yes, I can see it coming, but it needs a lot more work. We got to work on the privacy laws and actually decide on whose data it actually rests with.
So what's going to happen? I know this isn't 10 years out, but what's going to happen when we have autonomous vehicles everywhere? Are we going to, like, all auto insurance is going to disappear?
Tell you, my prediction as a former California Highway Patrol officer and an accident reconstructionist, I will tell you that once the autonomous cars can talk to one another, and we're talking about everyone, and just in California alone, there's over 38 million registered personal vehicles. That doesn't include commercial fleets. Yeah. Once the cars can talk to one another, and once the cars are connected to a smart highway, you're going to see some amazing things happen. But who's going to push that? Who's going to step forward and say, you know, John, you bought that, you know, that 1968 Mustang fastback with a 427 Cobra engine in it. Too bad. You can't drive it. So I mean, you know, when you look at
that's going to be that's 50 years out or more,
right? I mean, so yeah, but you know, if you look into that, and you know, I mean, I'm obviously, you know, all fun aside, I'm a, you know, hot rod cars and things like that, but you talk about, you know, like in Futurist, steep, right? The steep analysis. If you automate cars to a smart highway, what's going to happen to the automobile insurance industry? It'll
disappear. You won't need it any longer.
You know how much money they're worth?
Yeah. And that's the problem. That's the problem with innovation, is that there's all these, you know, parties that love it the way it is. They like it the way it is. So we need to, you know, somehow slowly open the Overton window and get them to understand that these changes are good.
It's like every day I drag people up the hill from an insurance company saying, come on, let me show you something. Dragging them up the hill. And then once they see it, but you know, that's what I think is one of the neatest things about innovation and creativity in the world of insurtech, is being able to bring cutting edge technology science to a real company in a real world where now all of a sudden they can do things better. And then the consumer is happier as well.
And I love the fact that you can show the real world savings like almost right away. I mean, a lot of times you can't do that.
Yep, absolutely.
Very cool. Very cool. So this has been fantastic. Thank you so much. So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
info@infinilytics.com. We answer that right away. And then there's also an 800 number. I can never remember this. So hold on.
That's okay. I can put it in the show notes. Not a problem. If you just send me the information.
Okay. Yeah, I'll email the information right now after we get off or whatever. That'll be the easier way.
All right. Well, thank you so much. This has been great.
Okay. Well, thank you.